Hey there, fans, followers, and friends. Hi, Mom. This is Katie with Picture Perfect Lawn Maintenance, back with another informative video about what you need to watch for and know this season in your lawn. This is part 1 of 3 in our Picture Perfect Plus package installment series. This is going to be telling you the details of the 3 main components of our Plus package that offers supplementary coverage to your lawn services. First up, Nutsedge, what it is and how you can keep it out of your lawn. Nutsedge, as its name would imply, is a member of the sedge family that appears as a perennial weed during the warm season months in areas of the lawn that stay wet. Let's break that down. This means that nutsedge is something that's not your typical broadleaf or grassy weed. It's kind of in its own classification with other sedges such as kalinga, and it's perennial. This means it's not something that grows up, seeds, and then dies, and then the next generation from that seeded population grows back the next year. A perennial weed, or any perennial plant, is one where the same plant itself goes through its life cycle for several years before it dies off. Because nutsedge likes warm weather, this means that you're going to see it from, at the earliest, May, more often June, through the warm season months until the fall. The areas where you're most likely to see nutsedge occurring in your lawn are going to be areas that hold more moisture than the rest of the yard and stay warm. It's still somewhat too early in the year for us to be seeing any nutsedge, but I want to tell you guys about it now because it's the perfect opportunity, if it's something that you've seen in your yard before, to go ahead and get on the schedule for treatments at the ideal time to hit it when it just starts coming up. And I'll explain to you in a second why that's important. For now, take a look at some of these pictures of nutsedge. Since I can't show it to you in a lawn area yet, these pictures are good evidence of what it looks like. When you're seeing it from a surface level, you're going to see basically 3 blades of grass kind of growing up in a little piece that look more of a lime green color instead of that rich dark green that we expect for fescue. The dead giveaway with nutsedge compared to other kinds of grassy appearing weeds is that it grows crazy fast. Nutsedge is going to grow several inches a week at the minimum, which is far outpacing your fescue during the summer. As a result, if you mow your lawn completely uniform today, in 2 days your nutsedge is going to be standing about an inch or so taller than the rest of your lawn. This is why people hate it, because it looks weird. It's a different color and it always stands up taller than your fescue, so it breaks up the uniformity of a manicured, cared for lawn that we're going for when we invest in treatments like fertilizer. Nutsedge actually gets its name from the nutlets that are at the base of the root, and this is what makes it a huge pain for a lot of homeowners to try to deal with on their own. Nutsedge seems like it would be easy to hand pull. You can find it quickly, it pulls out and it seems to break free really easily, but when you pull it out by hand, you're only getting the surface extension of that root system. Deep down under the ground, several or more inches below the surface, is where that nutlet is hanging out. And guess what? That nutlet is where future growth of the nutsedge that you see coming back year after year and at all different parts of the growing season is going to be stemming from. As a result, unless you want to completely till up and really dig up and destroy your yard trying to get to that nutlet, the only way to kill off nutsedge and keep it from coming back is to do systemic treatments. Side note, kind of a fun fact about yellow nutsedge, which is what we see in our area, that nutlet is also commonly referred to as a tiger nut. And what's cool about that is it is a key ingredient to the drink known as horchata that a lot of us enjoy. As a result, yellow nutsedge is actually something that's cultivated and grown as a crop in some parts of the world, such as Spain. You might not think that's cool, but I think that's pretty cool. I didn't know it, and now I'm telling everybody. So I'm telling you, and now you know it too, and we've all gained knowledge and become better people. But anyway, back on track. Systemic herbicides are going to be the most efficient way, hands down, to control and eliminate a nutsedge infestation that's showing up in your yard during the summer. The problem is, as we talked about earlier, nutsedge is not your typical weed. It's not in the broadleaf family, it's not related to crabgrass, so a lot of these standard herbicides that are built into a typical fertilizer program, ours, everyone else in Virginia, most of the people in the country, those standard broadleaf and crabgrass related weed control products are not targeting nutsedge. They're just not developed for it because it's a more aggressive plant that is immune to certain products. And of course, go figure, the herbicides that do hit nutsedge and will kill it off are more expensive. As a result, because the majority of people don't end up really having to deal with nutsedge, and because we and most companies don't want you to have to pay extra for something you probably won't need, nutsedge treatments are kept separate from a typical lawn care maintenance program. And that's where the plus package comes in. Picture Perfect does offer nutsedge treatments as a separate cost. You can either do the treatments as a standalone thing if you know that's your main concern in terms of these supplementary services, or it's built into the plus package, and if you know that you get the other issues such as grubs and disease, then it ends up being perfect and convenient. We apply nutsedge treatments 2 times a year to make sure that we are hitting the nutsedge right when it starts to come up around June, and then a second time in the middle of the summer when that first wave has died off, but the late bloomers are starting to want to creep in. Nutsedge treatments are a little bit more complex than your standard weed control, where you can hit it and kill it and it dies and it does what it's supposed to do. Nutsedge treatments are most effective when the plant is still very young in its seasonal development. The more a nutsedge plant has developed as the season progresses, the more resistant it is going to be to the full systemic absorption of that herbicide. As a result, you may see a lot of the top growth of the plant die off and you think that it's been covered, but it hasn't really absorbed and taken effect and killed off the nut at the very base of the root. Whether we do it for you or you do it yourself, if we're applying nutsedge treatments to the lawn in that early part of the season, in the middle of the season, to make sure that we are hitting the plants as they're coming up and they're still more sensitive, that's going to be our best success rate for controlling the weed long term and seeing less and less of it want to come up each year. And yes, you heard me correctly. Another thing I'm going to be talking about with this series is how you can do some of these things yourself. It's a nice option if it's convenient for you and in the budget to have us or any other turf management company that you work with, if you're not in our area, do your supplementary preventative care so that you don't have to worry about it. But for a lot of people, if they're already investing in the turf management program with the fertilizer and the standard weed control and the aeration and seeding, an extra cost isn't necessarily what you were banking on. If you're physically able and you have the time and resources to do these treatments yourself, it might end up saving you a little bit of money, and to some people that makes the difference. Where nutsedge is concerned, we recommend doing kind of the same schedule of these treatments, but there are several different over-the-counter options that target sedges. One such product is called Sedge Hammer, and it's a popular option with professionals and homeowners alike because it's easy to access and it's got a cool name. But most importantly, it's effective. But there are other options out there as well. The important thing is to identify the active ingredient and what the label rate for application is going to be for the highest efficacy and to be a responsible applicator. If you're a Picture Perfect client and you have a history of nutsedge and you want to find out if it's something that you should go ahead and get covered for this season, give me a call and let me know. You can also comment below and I'll contact you myself. You can email me, call me, text me. You guys know that I'm very easy to get in touch with. We've got a lot of different ways. But the biggest thing is just for you to know what your options are and make sure that we've got a good plan going into the summer. Right now, I have actually extended the discounted preventative rates on our Plus package an extra month just to give you guys the opportunity to get set up before it's too late if you want that. If you end up getting a crop of nutsedge in the middle of the summer and ask us to come out and kill it off, it is going to be a higher cost because it requires a heavier application and it's a last minute notice. So if it's something that you want covered, you know you have a history of it or you've experienced it before and you just don't want to deal with it, this is the best time to make sure that you're covered so that you don't have to deal with it and so that you get that discount. As always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to learn with me about the things that are going to be impacting your lawn this season. If you haven't already, be sure to check out our video up here about our round 2 of fertilizer and weed control, which we are just starting this week. It's got a lot of great nutrients and we are very excited to be seeing such awesome results from Carbon X, which is the main fertilizer component we are applying with both of our spring applications. You know I like that engagement, so be sure to comment below, like and subscribe, ring the bell, all that jargon, so that you stay up to date. I've heard that the Easter Bunny might be bringing me a new microphone, so be sure to stay tuned as well for future parts of this installment, such as grub control and disease control, and stay up to date down the road sooner or later whenever it comes so that you can hear how awesome everything sounds on our fancy new microphone. I may or may not be getting some grass ASMR tips pretty soon, so tingles abound. We'll see how that goes, but I appreciate your time watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and check in next week for the next 2 installments of our Plus Package series. Have a picture perfect day, enjoy the weather, and we'll talk to you soon.